So Donald Trump is meeting with oil executives today at the White House, and I want to give you the latest on what people are saying. First, this is from Representative Jason Crow. He says, Trump shows you his priorities, big oil companies. Running Venezuela is all about enriching his donors. The American people are done fighting foreign wars to pad the pockets of oil executives. Now, I think if you ask the average American person, and we've seen polling data on this, but just ask average American person, would you like to go to Venezuela and protect the oil? Do you want to take a job where your whole goal is to protect the wealth of billionaires? If you phrase it in that way, people are like, no, not for me. And this is what their strategy then is. This is the Trump people. They got to convince people to go along with this. It says spotted, taking a seat in the back of the room for President Trump meeting with oil executives is Tucker Carlson. So why am I mentioning Tucker here? You can actually see Tucker's got some sort of gift bag or whatever you want to call it. He's holding a bag there. You can clearly see it. And it's got the presidential seal. So there's something in the bag. And basically, in my opinion, why you invite people like Tucker or whatever, right-wing podcasters and such, is they're going to start talking about, hey guys, this is all about freedom and we're fighting for freedom, et cetera, right? They need to convince American people that you need to go to Venezuela and defend the oil. That's essentially what this is all about. That's why you invite those kind of people. And this is at a time, and I just want to make sure all the pieces are together so you understand it. This is a time when we're losing manufacturing jobs, okay? So the kind of people that maybe want those kind of jobs, they're not there. And so the Trump people are like, okay, fine, we give up on the manufacturing thing. We're going to just push out the AI because we get a bunch of donors that way. And we're going to have a whole bunch of oil-related jobs and protecting the oil money and that kind of stuff. So that's sort of their plan. And then when you look at what Trump is saying, I guess he's wearing a Happy Trump pin. Look at this.
I see the American flag lapel pin. What is the other lapel pin on
Somebody
your jacket?
gave me this. You know what that is? That's called a Happy Trump. And considering the fact that I'm never happy, I'm never satisfied, I will never be satisfied until we make America great again, but we're getting pretty close, I'll tell you what. This is called a Happy Trump. Somebody gave it to me, I put it on.
Someone gave it to him, he put it on, right? And that's kind of his attitude. Oh, well, someone said, hey, Trump, you got to sign this thing. You're meeting with a bunch of oil execs. You'll get a big photo op and a new ballroom. Just do whatever they say. Oh, yeah, good idea. Like, that's kind of how people are in his orbit. Just give him something and he'll do it. I want to hear Jesse Ventura with you. He has a pushback to Trump. Listen to what he has to say.
I'll give you a quote. We're a third world country now. You want to know why? I'm an expert. I've been to them. I spent 17 months in Southeast Asia while the draft dodger was playing golf, right? You know how I know we're a third world country? Because in third world countries, they have the military doing their police work in the cities when you walk around. I was in the Philippines the day Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law and went under dictatorship. We went from nobody to a guy with a machine gun on every corner. That's what happens in a dictatorship. In comes the military. That's what's happening here. And people better wake up to it. You want to read something? Then read your history of Germany and start comparing the tactics of what happened in 1930s Germany to what's happening here. Read history. You learn from history. And this is nothing new. This is all repeated. This is a game plan, it looks.
So I just wanted you to hear Jesse Ventura's point of view on this stuff and essentially how this game is played. Donald Trump and his people will wave the flag and say, guys, it's all about freedom. We're fighting for freedom, right? And what it boils down to, though, is that the rich people were like, hey, I want to go get that oil, and let's send the poor kids to go protect it. There's a major divide in the country. The wealth gap keeps getting bigger. And then if you complain or you get angry, then they start sending the military in the streets. Now, listen to what J.D. Vance has to say, which is interesting because he did serve in the military. I think he was a Marine. And to listen to what he has to say.
I'd like to ask J.D. to say a few words, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thanks to everybody for being here. As a Marine Corps veteran for my entire lifetime, presidents, and let's be honest, they were Democrats and Republicans, would send the American military to far-off places. They would get us involved in these endless quagmires. They would lose hundreds or thousands of American lives, and the American people would get nothing out of these misadventures. And now you have an American president who's empowered the American military to stop the flow of drugs into our country and to ensure that we, as opposed to our adversaries, control one of the great energy reserves that exist anywhere in the entire world. And he did it without losing a single American life in the process. It was an amazing operation.
Okay, so if you listen to J.D. Vance, basically the first party says, okay, every American president, either Democrat or Republican, will send us off to foreign wars. We get stuck in quagmires. Okay, that's American history. But Trump, guys, he's going to be different. He's going to be different. We're like going to take control of the oil, and there's going to be no loss of life. I promise you it's going to be different this time. And this is why it's important when you say, look at Jesse Ventura, learn from history. I totally agree. Look at history, not just of the USA, look at history in other countries. And I don't think just from history, this just a fair, objective way to think about this, that Trump is going to be such an exceptional president and he's just going to go to Venezuela and everything's going to be great and there's going to be no loss of life and all the poor kids protecting the oil are going to be just fine. I mean, let's be honest about what's going on. And that's why I showed you these words. Like the J.D. Vance even admits sort of what's happening and then basically turns into a liar after that. Watch some more, though. I don't want you to think that everyone's all about getting the oil. This is a Representative Mike Levin. See what he has to say.
Introducing legislation, along with my friend Jeff Merkley in the Senate, that would ban American taxpayer dollars from being used to fund the rebuild of Venezuela's oil infrastructure. The reason for this is quite simple. It simply doesn't make economic sense for these companies with oil at $63 a barrel to go in and spend the billions and billions, some have said $100 billion, I've heard estimates of $200 billion, to go in and rebuild this infrastructure. And it really would be corporate welfare for the big donors of Donald Trump. During the 2024 campaign, of course, he told them all that if they funded his campaign, that he would do whatever the hell they wanted. And this whole situation in Venezuela has really been all about the oil all along.
And sadly, it's been like this for years. I think you guys know these things and you get stuck in these wars. This is also what a investor was saying before. I shared you guys this quote, but I'll just say it again. No one wants to go in when there is a random effing tweet can change the entire foreign policy of the country. And that was from a private equity investor who specializes in energy, right? So no one wants to go in and invest basically when Trump can just tweet anything whenever he wants. Trump's going to try to convince you that we have to throw all this money at Venezuela. Listen.
Million barrels. I can't even, is that a correct number? 30 million barrels. You hear that, Peter? Of oil was given to us by Venezuela. That's a lot of oil. It's about $4 billion worth, and it's on its way to the United States right now. We're going to be working with Venezuela. We're going to be making the decision as to which oil companies are going to go in, that we're going to allow to go in. We're going to cut a deal with the companies. We'll probably do that today or very shortly.
So that's what Trump says. He's basically saying, guys, everything's going to be great. We're all going to be rich. Vance says it's not going to be like those other wars that always happened in American history. I promise you, it's not going to be like that. Now listen to what an oil exec, this is from Exxon, has to say about the current state of Venezuela. Will it be that easy? Let's see what they have to say.
We have a very long history in Venezuela. In fact, we first got into Venezuela back in 1940s. We've had our assets seized there twice. And so you can imagine to re-enter a third time would require some pretty significant changes from what we've historically seen here and what is currently the state. If we look at the legal and commercial constructs and frameworks in place today in Venezuela, today it's uninvestable. And so significant changes have to be made to those commercial frameworks, the legal system. There has to be durable investment protections, and there has to be a change to the hydrocarbon laws in the country. We're confident that with this administration and President Trump working hand in hand with the Venezuelan government, that those changes can be put in place.
And you can see it right here. The chief executive of oil company ExxonMobil says Venezuela is currently, quote, uninvestable, and he calls for significant changes to the country's legal system at the White House, meeting with Donald Trump and other oil execs. You're also going to have major security concerns. So that means then your tax dollars would have to pay all these soldiers to put, boots on the ground. And it's going to be ugly if you go in there. Hope that's really clear. It's going to be just like all the other times that the U.S. said, oh, it's going to be so easy. This time will be different. But Pay attention to history. It matters.
But today I'm delighted to welcome almost 24 of the biggest and most respected oil and gas executives in the world to the White House. It's an honor to be with them. We have many others that were not able to get in. I said if we had a ballroom, we'd have over 1,000 people. Everybody wanted. I never knew your industry was that big. I never knew you had that many people in your industry. But here we are. And if you look, come to think of it, well, I got to look at this myself. Wow. What a view. This is the door to the ballroom. Unusual time to look, but I figure we might as well do it. If the fake news would like to go back and take a look, you can, but you'll see a very big foundation that's moving. We're ahead of schedule in the ballroom and under budget. It's going to be, I don't think there'll be anything like it in the world, actually. I think it'll be the best. We went from, this is, as you know, our biggest room, which would seat 100 for dinner, maybe. If you're lucky.
And if you listen to the way that he talks, he's like, oh my God, I know so many people in your industry, because everyone's rushing to the White House. Get your bribes in while you can. Get your security for all of your profits. And again, send the poor kids to protect the oil. And then Trump, he's just thinking about his ballroom. Oh my God, look how great this ballroom is. And like gets up in the middle of the meeting, he goes, look at this ballroom. It is as whacked out as it sounds. You just saw it for yourself with your own eyes.
How much money are you thinking of giving people in Greenland to get them on board with a possible U.S. takeover?
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
And that's his thoughts on Greenland. And we've been talking about this before. The report was that they were talking about paying each person in Greenland from $10,000 upwards to $100,000 each. And then that's why they asked about the money. Hey, we heard about the money situation. What do you think? And that was his answer. It's as ridiculous as it sounds, but that's the world that we live in.
And we'll see what happens. But I think the numbers, Caitlin, were really amazing. Look, to think about 5.4%, nobody thought that. They thought it was going to be 2%. And you know what it is? It's tariffs. And it's also November 5th. We had a great election, a great election.
All right, so according to Trump, we're all going to be rich. Was it 5.4% GDP? Wow, fantastic. And all due to tariffs, we're all rich. Fantastic. And then I guess he's saying he's going to meet with Machado. You listen to this.
A young lady that received the Nobel Peace Prize, she's going to come in and pay her regards to our country, really, to me. But, I'm a representative of the country, nothing else. And she's coming in sometime.
So this is what this is all about, is basically Trump will be meeting with people. Who can the U.S. put in to install as the president of Venezuela? And then how can we start getting that oil going? And how can we make all that money and, again, send poor kids to protect the oil? Let's go. This is Senator Bernie Sanders, give you a different point of view. He says, Maduro was a dictator, but let's not pretend Trump cares about democracy. He cozies up to dictators all over the world when it suits him. Trump has been clear. He wants Venezuela's oil. That's not democracy. That's imperialism. And also I want you to hear from Senator Patty Murray, what she has to say.
Oil. I mean, think about it. Trump promised oil executives a great deal if they donated $1 billion to his campaign. And now he wants to let his big oil buddies seize control of Venezuelan oil reserves, even if it means boots on the ground. Trump outright admitted that his administration notified the oil companies about the strikes in Venezuela before they even notified members of Congress. We all need to be eyes wide open about the blatant self-enrichment here. This is about as corrupt as it gets. Americans do not want a war with Venezuela, especially not one that's about enriching oil executives. This is not worth putting American lives at risk. No war, no occupation, no boots on the ground.
And I just want you to hear different points of view on this. You probably get a sense of my feeling. I just don't think it's worth it to send, again, poor kids to defend rich kids' money. That's what basically all it boils down to. So that's my thoughts on this. I'd like to hear yours, and I'll catch you all in the next video.